Um, Discrimination. I get this every day, and it's like it's from my girlfriend's dad for real. And it's kind of funny because I'm half white, and he don't realize that, and it affects me. It messes with my heart because it's just like they don't realize everything blacks have been through to get where we are, and then all this I've been learning about my culture. I'm gonna try to pass this on to more people in Columbus and try to open their eyes more, and hopefully it'll affect them more spiritually than physically. And I have a dream speech. It kind of affected me because all these kids have dreams of being what they want to be, and then it's like always somebody, it's that one person to hold them back, and they start believing it. And with that doubt, like, we need somebody to raise them up, bring their hopes up, and there's not that many of that. And some of these kids, that's why gangs have started. It's like a defense of pride. It's like
what stick with me is that when we went to the library, not the library, but the gift shop next to Martin Luther King's home, that 1963 button said voting and freedom. Guess where we're at today? Yes. We have not progressed past voting and freedom.
So to our young people, make sure you know your history. Make sure you know what you're talking about.
We went over to, in Atlanta, when we went over to the Ebenezer Baptist Church, we were in the sanctuary, and when you were in the sanctuary, they played actual audio of King speaking. And you could sit down and literally close your eyes, and you could hear the struggle in his voice, and you could hear the triumph in his voice. And you can imagine what they were going through as both individuals and as a group.
That I've seen so far in this trip is definitely changed the way that I perceive myself personally. Like, I always thought of myself as like a outside the box type thinker, but now, like, watching all these documentaries and watching these movies on how devoted Martin Luther King was in order to lead his own people to freedom, and how, like, now we just setting the wheels and making them go backwards instead of forward again, is just really pushing me to be the next great leader. And so when I get back to Columbus and my hometown or whatever, I'm already the vice president of the 614 ambassadors. So now what I need to do is step up and be that leader and lead my school into greatness. And so that's exactly what I plan to do when I get back.
I think one of the most important things about this trip was, like, we were able to feel everything that we were listening to, and, like, we were in this zone. So nothing else in our lives at this point really matters. Like, even if I was texting or anything, I was still just, like, thinking about this trip. Like, there's a whole theme. So I feel that it's taught us that, some of these things that many of us are learning or relearning, it's not something that can only be taught in the classroom. It's something that you have to be able to experience. And so it makes me wonder, what type of opportunities are we really giving to students in Columbus or surrounding communities that they're able to feel versus what they're just reading from a book? Like, how can you really expect someone to understand the importance of Martin Luther King if they're just, reading I Have a Dream speech out loud? And, like, how many of us have even just listened to the speech fully and really, like, critically been in that zone and internalized, like, the words? They're very powerful. So I feel that with this, I'm hoping that I can engage more of my students, but in the future, when I come back to Columbus, how can I create more of, like, experiential learning versus something that's just in the classroom?
Originally, I'm from Somalia, but I grew up in Kenya. So coming to America, African-American history was new to me, and I inherited African-American history because, looking at me, I am African-American. And so I had to learn everything that I knew about it from the books that I learned in high school and everything. But coming here is a totally different story. I went to the church, sat down, like, I'm sorry, I forgot your name. She said, when you close your eyes and you sit down there, you can actually feel everything that's going on.
Really impact me on this trip is how us people fought for the rights we had today. So I'm just glad that we had that chance to go to school, education, and everything.
This trip has been life-changing for me. There's a lot that I learned so far, and there's a lot I still need to know. I recommend this trip for more kids because, like, if I can do it, then they can do it. And if I have the courage to come and lead my school or lead other kids from my school here or kids from around Columbus to come on this trip and learn something new and have a new experience, then I know that I can do anything and I can be a civil rights activist. I can be the next Martin Luther. I can be anything I want to be. The little baby steps that I need to take and the leadership that I need so that I can come up here and stand before all of you and that you guys will remember me so that, because all the people I've met so far and the people I'm going to meet, like, so far I've made a bond with them and they've become like my family. Yeah, so.